Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ammar, and today I will share with you a topic that is really smoking in the community, which is in vitro fertilization, also known as IVF. So, what is IVF? So, most of us would probably have learned this in biology, and it stated that IVF is known as a scientific method of the human fertilization process. What is meant by this is that it is a series of complex procedures used to help with the fertility or prevent genetic problems and assist with the conception of having a child. This involves mainly married couples. So now we will look towards the test tube conception. And again, medical procedure. IVF is a medical procedure in which mature egg cells are removed from a woman, fertilized with a male sperm, which is done outside of the body. And when it is fertilized, it is inserted back into the uterus of the same or another woman for normal gestation. So in vitro fertilization is mainly assisted by reproductive technology. And there are several reproductive technologies, and the most common ones are used in IVF are, as mentioned, and um, IVF is a process that is carried out outside of the body, where mostly it's been placed in a laboratory plate and then transferred to the embryo once it's done fertilization uh, into the mother's womb. Other forms of art include sperm intrafallopian transfer, which is known as SCIF, and zygote intrafallopian transfer, which is known as ZIF. And these are considered illegal. These are considered legal in most countries. But with some conditions, the use of third-party donor of sperm is not allowed, as this sometimes relates towards reproductive issues or health, but mostly it is prevented in Muslim countries that practice IVF. But we will go into that detail further later. So, as mentioned, all forms of surrogacy are forbidden, as long as the semen, egg, ovum, embryo, and uterus are all belong to an official married couple. The ruling has no exception. Again, this must be between a certified, official, declared married couple. And here in IVF, mostly any third party is forbidden at all. You cannot do even if it's relative, family, or cousins or close friends. Now, the fertilization will take place either during their marriage or sometime later in their life, but the highlight here is not after divorce or the death of the husband. Yeah, because once you divorce, you be strangers to one another, and death, unless their partner finds a new partner and marry it, then it's allowed. Besides talking conditions about married couples, the doctor and experts handling the IVF process would observe strictly moral and ethical values while they deal with their patients and ensure the entity of their patients should not be smeared. Now, this ranges from care, handling, especially not exposing their patients aura to the public, as well as keeping everything private to themselves and between patients and themselves as well. So now we will look further into Shariah's rules regarding on IVF. In this, it states that the woman should not uncover her aura before men when female staff is available. So what it's trying to say is that try your best to find a female doctor who is available to assist with the IVF process, because this is to prevent from uncovering your aura towards a stranger who is not either your family or your husband. And for this process, which is for the men, we are required to obtain the sperm of the man, and this is not done by other than masturbating, which is in some cases or opinions are not permissible for them to do so, whether they may be intimate by their wives in the process to produce the sperm themselves. So besides that, the woman's eggs and sperm should not be kept in the freezer for later use or another appointment, and there should not be any delay in placing them in the woman's womb. You have to keep everything fresh, and other than that, this is to prevent from the mixing between the types of container and sharing the same location or fridge. This could, in result, mix with one another or misuse of others' patient reproductive cells. The sperm must come from the husband and the egg from the wife and be planted in the wife's uterus. Anything else is not permissible. Again, stating facts about third party, which is not allowed at all. There should be a complete trust in the doctors who are doing this procedure, famous Islamic. This again mentions with the ethical and procedure carried out, and what happened between the doctors and the patients stays between them. But before this, there has been an fatwa that has been established in 1868, established by the famous Islamic institution, which is Darul Ulum, which is established in 1886. The fatwa issued against IVF said that it declares that it is unnecessary for a couple who does not have children. So after looking towards that, the Council of Islamic Faith finally come to a point that there are 7 known methods used nowadays for artificial insemination. 5 of the first method being again the Sharia rule, what the tools are allowed to be carried out. So, first one is fertilization taking place between the sperm taken from the husband and the eggs taken from a woman who is not his wife. Then the fertilized ovum being implanted into the womb of his wife. Second one being fertilization taking place between the sperm taken from a man who is not the husband and the eggs taken from the wife. And then the fertilized ovum being implanted in the womb of the wife. The third one being fertilization taking place in vitro between the sperm, the eggs taken from the spouses, and the fertilized ovum being implanted into the womb of the volunteer woman. Fourth one being fertilization taking place in vitro between the sperm of a man and eggs of a woman who are strangers to one another, and then the fertilized ovum being implanted into the womb of another man's wife. Fertilization taking place in vitro between the sperm and the eggs taken from the spouse, and then fertilized ovum is implanted into the womb of the husband's other wife. Now, what all of that has in common is that it involves third party, and as mentioned before, any third party involved is not allowed at all if to carry out IVF in according to the Sharia law. Now, the other two is being the sperm of the husband and the eggs of the wife are taken and fertilized in vitro, and then the fertilized ovum is implanted into the womb of the wife. No third party involved. Artificial insemination by taking the sperm of the husband and inserting it directly in the appropriate place of the wife's womb for fertilization. So this fertilization still happens inside the wife's body, and this is allowed as, again, no third party is involved. So what can we conclude from this is that IVF is permissible, as before this most people thought it's not permissible in Islam. But true problem is Islamically is that the sperm as a husband is sustained through masturbation, and masturbation is forbidden for us to do so, as it's considered as a big sin. And in some cases, people mention that infertility is not an extreme medical problem, so you should not be worried and should not even consider doing IVF. And this, in result, will come to an extent that it will make unlawful medication lawful, like making something not good, or something not good to be practiced to be carried out and allowed. Husband and wife will both have to express their right in order to receive treatment. Again, try their best to find the same gender to assist them in this process. In that cases, it states that in some cases where it is considered as crucial, aura becomes permissible only in certain situations in need of its necessities, such as extreme medications or operations, something like that. So, with all that said, is IVF fully permissible in Islam? First of all, there's certain conditions such as where we consider it as taboo, right? The desire of having a child is very serious, to some couples. It could give them a great impact for them not to have a child. It could lead to stress and so on, and depression and emotional trauma. And also, this could also be the case of infidelity and adultery. As for the exposing of aura, in Islam, the circumcising of an adult who accepts Islam involves exposing his aura, and this but it's not permitted for them to do so. So they are trying to consider this as to the same case as circumcising, where it's okay for you to reveal your aura in the process. As for masturbation, the idea of masturbation is that the sperm is wasted like that, whereas through IVF, the sperm is fully used for the fertilization to produce the embryo to be implemented into the wife's uterus. So through all this, scholars have stipulated a condition where one should be treated by someone of the same gender, being man to man and woman to woman. So this will not go against the way exposing the aura towards opposite gender. Okay, so if this process is arranged according to the decision of the majority of the scholar, it's not a problem at all to proceed with IVF for those needy couples, but make sure that all the following conditions discussed is practiced in the process. So why did we choose this topic? Because as a community and based on what we experienced, this topic is not talked much in the community, and there has been very little light exposed towards this. So as far as we know, can we consider it as controversial? Yes, IVF can be considered as controversial. So we need to shed more light towards this and plant in the thoughts of humans of what IVF is in Islam as well. To most people who don't know, they would 100% guarantee that it's permitted, as well as we did in the beginning before exposing it to this type of English. Now with this type of message, those who had and will be brought down with the false understanding that they carry with them. So those who have may or may not yet goals under towards IVF could be deceived by the community. It would be like unlawful and sinful for them to do so if they didn't know that IVF is allowed in Islam. So to oppose this or to overcome this problem, talks or campaigns are the best option for this, as it will not only help spread the words but also awareness into people so that they will know that there is to know what there is to know behind IVF and Islam, and at the same time eliminate the assumption of the misconception that's in their minds regarding IVF itself. So that is all from me and from this group. I hope you guys understand and may we learn more what we have not yet discovered. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.